Okay, we are live. It is F101 week 10. Oh, I never changed my desktop to actually like fit with the non-existent chat. Let me do that really quickly. It's fine. All right. Yes, F101 week 10 Spain review, Canada preview. There's also they announced the 2026 calendar. I'm going to briefly touch on it. And then I have one thing at the end. I have a question kind of for the room at the end. But first is the Spain review. Uh, I have here what the hell happened. It kind of all kicked off at the end, but first the finishing order: top three: Piastri, Norris, Leclerc. Then rounding out the points are Russell Hulkenberg, which is in fifth place in a Sauber, good for him. Hamilton, Hadjar, Gasly, Alonso, and then Verstappen. And then Lawson, Bortoleto, Tsunoda, Sainz, Colapinto, Ocon, and Behrman didn't score. Albon and Russell didn't. I'm sorry, Albon and Antonelli didn't finish, and Stroll did not start. Good day: Nico Hulkenberg and Fernando Alonso. Bad day: Red Bull, Williams, Kimi Antonelli, and Max Verstappen. A lot of people had a bad day in this race. Um, First though, before the race even began, it was announced on Saturday night that Lance Stroll would be undergoing a procedure relating to his double wrist injury from 2023, and he would be unable to compete in the race. This is obviously the biggest story out of Spain. Nothing else happened during the race. It was mainly all about Stroll. And I have here, I hope my goat can recover for Canada, which he has. So yeah, 2 years, 2023, he got into a bike accident, broke both of his wrists, and this seemed to be kind of aftermath of that. Kind of flared up, I guess. So he's undergone another procedure with the mystery doctor that fixed his broken wrist in like 2 weeks, 2 years ago. So um, that is, and because so basically you're not allowed to race. Not basically, you aren't allowed to race if you don't qualify. So if you don't participate in qualifying, you can't race, and that's why he was not replaced by one of their backups, either Felipe Drugovich or Stoffel Van Dorn. Um, so yeah, so just it was a DNS for Stroll. Piastri and Norris qualified 1-2, finished 1-2. Norris did wind down in fourth after the first few corners. Verstappen got a much better launch and made the overtake, but he gets second place back, partly due to Red Bull's three-stop strategy, and he finished the race out in second. And you can't avoid it. If you've been paying attention to F1 in any capacity in the last 2 weeks, you know exactly what happened between Max Verstappen and George Russell in the race, and why Max Verstappen was the big story of the race. It all started with Red Bull's strategy. They put him on a three-stop, which worked for their car, and I think for their tire situation. But then the safety car comes out, and there's precedent to winning Barcelona on a three-stop when everyone else is on a two. Obviously that didn't happen and wasn't going to happen this time, but because the McLarens were faster than everybody else. But it was like, there's precedent for that, and I think it was probably their best strategy anyway. But Antonelli pulls off with another tech issue. That's his second in 3 races. And on lap 55 out of 66, and Red Bull put everybody goes to the pits. Red Bull puts on the only tires they have left, which are hard tires, which are slow as hell. And it screwed him on the restart. He had no grip, no heat in the tires. He got a little touchy with Leclerc on the main straight, but Leclerc ended up taking third. Then Verstappen and Russell came together while Verstappen is busy ranting at Leclerc, and he's also ranting at his team. Verstappen's engineer GP tells Verstappen to cede the position to Russell after they came together. And instead of doing that, Verstappen purposely dive bombed Russell and collided into him. And there's no kind of getting around it. I am a Max Verstappen fan. I'm still a Max Verstappen fan. He can do no wrong in my eyes, but it was on purpose, and it could have been really bad. And it was just, I mean, it was a nightmare of a situation to watch unfold. Um, this sparked a whole lot of drama. People were calling for race and championship bans, possibly reignited the Russell Verstappen feud from last year, which was a highlight of last year, especially the video of George being like, every time he doesn't get his way, he lashes out in anger and violence, and George looks like he's crying, and it's very, very dramatic. That was a great interview. That video kept getting surfaced. And this was all caused by Red Bull pitting Verstappen with a safety car. In my opinion, they should have left him out. Would have put him in first place and let him defend against the McLarens. His tires were older, but only by 8 laps, and we know that he's really good at the safety car restarts. And the way safety car restarts are done, they benefit whoever's in first. He may not have kept the win, but he probably could have brought home third. And instead of finishing 10th due to his 10-second penalty, and all the fallout from the race would have been avoided as well. The way I saw it, and in the moment I said this, I said, if your reasoning for putting him on hard tires and believing that he can, chase for the win or whatever, is because he's Max Verstappen, then that should also be your reasoning for leaving him out on the soft tires. So, and the soft tires wouldn't have been, yeah, McLaren had new softs, which is why they would have passed him, but I think he probably could have held them off at least long enough to where he probably would have gotten third. Or maybe if Leclerc was on one, then fourth. Um, so I think it was the wrong call to bring him in. Obviously, I don't have all the data. That's my opinion on it. And I'm a little biased towards Max, obviously, and I'm admitting that. It was wrong of him to hit Russell on purpose. That's crazy. Like, that's an insane thing to do to somebody else. But and thank God it wasn't like, a crazy accident. Um, so that's the Max Verstappen Russell drama and crash and all the remaining fallout from it.
I saw a take from before the incident. And I was like, oh, one of these days Max Verstappen's going to forget that he's not in the simulator and just run into someone. And here we are. He's out
Yeah,
there.
I
He's
don't
out
think
there looking like it's a video game.
he's playing F124.
He's like, might as well just restart, right? Just hit the guy, have a little fun, restart.
So he owns an
Uh,
iRacing team, and they actually were caught cheating in a
yeah,
crazy virtual event the same weekend because basically what happened is like there's a set ride height that you have, but if you have wet weather tires, that ride height is actually lower. And so they did the formation lap in wet weather tires, immediately like teleported to the garage, which you're allowed to do, and then changed their tires and basically like it was this huge exploit. And, and on so he wasn't involved in it, but he owns the team. So that came out after the whole crash thing, and people were calling it like a disgrace. They were like, Max Verstappen is like he is the least sportsman ever. He's like the and people are, all right, calm down. Like he wasn't even involved.
yeah.
It's just a
He
funny timing.
he's the biggest villain in F1, and no one involved in F1 right now is any more controversial than Max Verstappen, as we all know.
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh. There's not a single person in the entirety of the F1 organization who's more
Yeah,
controversial than Max
only the
Verstappen.
teams that have done anything wrong on the
Yeah.
scale of maybe cheating in iRacing.
There was, yeah. It's not like Max's principal maybe sent a dick pic to his assistant, but it could have been a finger with a condom on it. The subreddit debated for days on the opening race weekend. No one cared about the race. Everyone's like, we're talking about nipple pics and dick pics.
Was it a dick or a carrot? Who knows?
It was I think the consensus was it was his finger with a little white substance on it. You
It's
can draw
it's
the
it's
conclusions.
it's called sex ed, okay? He was just teaching his assistant
This is
do
what comes out
sex.
of a dick. So
She didn't know.
yeah. Max Verstappen, the biggest villain, and I love it, and I hope he's in villain mode for the whole year. Um, the other Red
He's
Bull. No, continue. Go, go, go.
he's also 1 point away from having a race suspension.
Yes, I was. Yes, let's get into that. So yes, he is one away. He has what is it, 11 out of 12 or 12 out of 13 or
Yeah,
13 out of
1 away, whatever that
whatever it
is.
is. So if you get, I think it's 12. If you get 12 in a year, so you get a penalty point. It lasts for a calendar year, no matter what. Unless you get 12 in a calendar year, then you are banned from the next race and your points reset.
Are your points
Last,
reset? I didn't
yes.
know that part.
So
Oh
if
my
so, you
god.
once you're banned, your penalty point, not your score, your penalty points go
Oh,
down to
sorry. Okay,
zero.
okay,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I was like, his
So
score is gonna reset? That's
no, that'd be
crazy.
crazy. So actually, it's really funny because I think it's Mark Webber technically still has to serve. So he got a penalty point in his final race ever that would lead to a race ban, but he never raced again. So I think if he races again, he has to serve a ban.
That's beast. That's what I would do. I'd get all my penalty points right before I
Or
retired
it's
or
something
get
like that
fired.
where the next race he does, he starts with a 10 place penalty or some shit like that. um, but so Max has one away. Now the FIA is very hesitant to give out full race bans. Last year they gave one to Magnussen, um, and he missed Brazil. But also last year, Pierre Gasly was 1 point away for like 5 weeks, and he was driving like a terrorist. And they did not give him a penalty point. They don't want to penalize. They don't like race bans. They hate giving out race bans because it affects their product. Because it's the FIA that's in charge of giving out the race bans, not the F1. It's the FIA. And when Max Verstappen is one of your biggest selling points, there's actually a really good talk about this. Is Max Verstappen too big to ban? And the general consensus is yes, he can probably do whatever, unless it's like blatantly crashing into Russell again. Odds are, if he drives a little crazy, they're not going to give him a penalty because they don't want to. They
I
don't want to ban him.
I think that for this next race, they're going to be a little bit, watchful, just because the incident's so fresh, right? Like, it'd be bad press
Mm.
for Max to do something a little, like, even remotely on the line, and people will be calling it out, saying he should be banned
So there's
after
no
this race.
precedent for
I feel
that,
like they're just gonna,
unfortunately.
yeah,
But yeah, I get what you're saying. So it's
they,
this race in Austria is the next race, and he loses 2 penalty points after Austria.
yeah. So I think this next race, they're gonna be like, hey man, as long as it's not egregious, we're not gonna do anything. But and then
Yeah.
Austria, he can do whatever he wants. Austria, be like, oh, it's far enough away. People are gonna forget about it.
Yeah, so Red Bull did push for their reserve driver, one of their junior drivers, Arvid Lindbald, who they believe is the next Max Verstappen, to get his super license, even though he's not 18 yet. And people are like, "Oh, they're expecting Max to be penalized," and everyone with a brain is like, "I think they're just worst case scenario. They're putting they'll like if like they'll see what he's got probably in the V carb and bring Hadjar up, but I don't think Max is getting a ban. I'd be very surprised. Like I said, they gave Pierre like a lot. They gave Pierre way more leniency than they should have, and I like Pierre,
Well,
but
he's done
he
nothing
probably
wrong.
should have
Like,
gotten a brace.
he
If
should
they're
have
not
been here
banning
before.
Pierre, they're not going to ban Verstappen. They'd only ban the only front runner they'd ban would be Lewis, but that's just because MBS is racist.
Yeah, I think it depends what it is because they can spin this to be
Right,
like, hey, look, we look out for safety, right?
right, but I
Uh,
don't think he's gonna purposely crash into anybody either.
no,
Like at the same
I
time,
think Max is gonna be, he's had a week off,
I think
so
he's
I
just
think
gonna be
he's gonna
Max.
be,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
He'll be
yeah, I think
aggressive, but he's always aggressive.
I think he's gonna have a cooler head this week than last
Well,
week.
it will be colder, so maybe
Oh, there
that'll
you
help.
go.
Yes, so that's the Verstappen, whatever. Um, the other Red Bull, Tsunoda, came into the weekend with a disadvantage, actually. I didn't learn about this till after the race. The team, after his crash in Imola, couldn't fully repair the car. They didn't have enough parts or something like that. So he had a totally different and slower setup in Monaco and in Spain, which is why he was abysmally, like horribly slow. He qualified dead last in Spain. He could only get up to 13th. And even Verstappen was like, yo, like this is a Red Bull problem. Yuki is not this slow. Like even after all of they're all berating him for the crash. He's like, yeah, but like, look, it's important that you know that this is not Tsunoda. Like his pace is not reflective of his skill. It's the car. They don't have enough goddamn parts. So the issue, however, should be rectified by Canada, which is this coming weekend. But the whole weekend was a horrible screw up for Red Bull. Um, and they're one of 3 teams to have a complete meltdown. Second of which being Williams. The new
Oh.
technical directives killed them. And I heard rumors about that beforehand, but I didn't really take it seriously. But those rumors were totally right. I don't know where those people heard that. It was like random Reddit and Twitter comments were like, Williams is going to be hit hard with the technical directives. I'm like, where are you getting this information? And then they sucked all weekend. I was like, these people, what are the lottery numbers? Um, Sainz qualified in 18th, Albon in 11th. Then during the race, Albon got into 2 collisions. Both of them were his fault. He fucked his wing up on the first. He got a 10-second penalty on the second. He goes to retire the car, and then they're like, no, you actually have to serve your penalty so we don't have to take a grid drop next race. So he serves the penalty, goes out for a lap of shame, and then retires the car.
Yeah.
It was so sad watching him little trundle along. And then Sainz was off pace and finished in 14th. A horrible weekend to forget. And if the form continues, if the technical directives really did screw them that bad, it's going to be a tough rest of the year, for the team. And the third horrible team, shame Andrew isn't here, was Haas. Ocon qualified 17th, Behrman in 15th. They finished 17th and 16th, which was dead last given the DNFs and the DNS. And this triple header has been horrible for Haas. They've done terrible all triple header. Ocon went out in Imola as well. Behrman, I think, got dead last in Monaco. It was just a bad time for Haas these 3 weeks, and it's a shame because they had a lot of glimmers of hope at the beginning of the year. And there's those high highs and those really low lows, and so hopefully they can get get a little more consistent with it. And finally, continuing the bad vibes because it wasn't just 3 teams. There was also Antonelli. He retired for the second time this triple header after qualifying 6th. So his triple header stats are in order: DNF 18th, which was last place in Monaco. So Behrman, I think, got 17th, and DNF. You thought Haas was in hell. Antonelli had it even worse. Just a horrible European stint. And
And
Mercedes
one of
just
those was his home race,
yeah, the
right?
first DNF, yeah, was his home race. His classmates were there.
And also, real quick, back to Haas and Williams. 8 teams scored points this week, including, I'm sure we'll get to him,
Sauber, yes, we will get to Nico Hulkenberg.
Nico Hulkenberg, and also Fernando Alonso, who's Aston Martin. They only had one driver.
Yeah, we'll get into both of those. Don't worry. But yes, Haas and Williams.
Scored points, and they scored, and Haas and Williams couldn't score any this week. So
Yes,
it's pretty embarrassing.
it was a bad time in Spain. But before we get to them, Russell and the other Mercedes qualified 4th, finished 4th, which does not tell the whole story of his race, but we covered it in the Verstappen drama, so we're going to move on. The Merc is still quick. It's not race winning. And with a potential Ferrari surge, Leclerc was really on one. Big on potential, though. Keyword potential Ferrari surge. It may not even be a podium worthy car if Ferrari it really is on the up. Speaking of Ferrari, there was radio drama. Leclerc sacrificed qualifying pace. He qualified 7th for race pace. He got stuck behind Hamilton after lap 1, and he was like, "Hey, I sacrificed quality pace not to be stuck behind my teammate. Like, let me pass." And the team took forever to order the drivers to swap. Hamilton was loathing the car's performance all weekend. He said it's the worst it's ever been. And I have here, at what point do we just admit Hamilton kind of doesn't have it anymore? And it's not just the car issue, it's kind of also him. Uh, and there's a lot of debate. Has Hamilton still got it? Does he not? I think he has some of it. I don't think he's got all of it anymore. Not to knock Hamilton, he's in my opinion, the best driver to ever do it, and I'm not shy about that. I do think Max Verstappen's the best right now. I think Hamilton is the best ever in the history of the sport. I know there's a lot of, is it Hamilton? Is it Senna? Is it Schumacher? My opinion, it's Hamilton. Look at all the records, and
Is it Alonso? Who knows?
It's not Alonso. Hamilton is living in Alonso's head rent free and has been for the past 13 years.
I'd like to see the alternate universe where Hamilton didn't leave Merck.
Well, I think the problems would continue. You'd had a horrible time in the Merc for the last few years as well.
I mean, right now Ferrari is ahead of Mercedes, although you could put a lot of that to Antonelli not scoring any points the last 3 races.
Yeah. So Leclerc is getting podiums, and Hamilton, while he won the sprint in China, no one cares about the sprint. He's had a horrible time in Ferrari, and I think David Coulthard put it really well. He said that the car isn't like worthy of the GOAT. And then he also said that the goat wasn't the sexy enough animal to describe Hamilton, but we're not going to get into that. That was a whole thing he started talking about. And I was like, what are you talking about? But yeah, he did make a good point where the car isn't worthy kind of the GOAT performance. And that's why we're not seeing it. But
the only team that's not complaining about their car right now is McLaren. So like,
well, even then they're complaining about the car.
Yeah.
Should they? Maybe not.
Maybe no, but we
But
are.
and every single weekend when Lando Norris is like, the car is not fast, and all the engineers are like, come on, man, we're winning by 30 seconds.
I don't hear Kick Sauber complain about their car, but I think that's because they gave up.
Yeah, well, there's not much to complain. There's too much to complain about. So, and you know what? Let's move on to Kick Sauber. The biggest story that got lost in all of this drama was Hulkenberg. He qualified 16th and he finished in 5th, technically 6th, but with the Verstappen penalty, he moved up 1, giving him and Sauber 10 points. So they're tied with Aston at 16 and moves them to 11th, and the driver also at 16 points. Aston Martin, how did they get up to 16 points? Because Fernando Alonso finished in 9th, and he had a fun as hell race. He was giggling all race, overtaking people wherever the hell he wanted. He was having a great time in his home race. And he had a fun. Alonso had fun out there in a year where driving the Aston has been anything but fun. Hulkenberg had a crazy race. Didn't get driver of the day for some reason. Absolutely deserved. He overtook 5 cars on lap 1. Went to 16th to 11th. And then he passed Hamilton right at the end, like on merit. So it was, he had a great race. And Bortoleto and the other Sauber drove really well as well. And so was this because Spain was filled with chaos and drama? Was it the cars better? We'll have to find out in Canada. The rest of the year, starting in Canada, will kind of tell us if the form of the car will continue, or maybe it was they're good at Barcelona, and maybe they won't be good at Canada, but they'll be good in Austria. I don't know. We'll have to find out. It's hard to be like, oh, Sauber's good now, because I don't think you can say that. I don't think you can just say that because Nico got 5th. Just because Nico got 5th doesn't mean Sauber is good. But I think it was a crazy thing that got, lost in all of the drama. So, so now they are tied.
Is if Sauber is caught up to like Haas and even Williams after this change, or if it's just a one-off deal.
Right.
Haas has been terrible.
It could be both.
It could be both.
It could be also Aston getting better. Aston in Miami and Monaco and stuff were the slowest on pace. True. So, I think the midfield. I think it's kind of like the midfield is so kind of tight that one like tiny little boost is going to put you above like 3 other teams potentially, even though if it's not that much of an improvement, just because of how close it is. So moving along, Hadjar, especially after Antonelli's recent woes, has exited this triple header, in my opinion, as the best of the rookies. Even considering the entire season. He's below Antonelli in the standings. It's kind of due to the difference between the Merc and the V carb. But Hadjar's the only rookie to never not make it to Q3. He always makes it to Q3. He's driven so well in that V carb that isn't that fast. It's good qualifying, not great in the race, but he's done so well. He's gotten points in 2 weeks in a row now. And Lawson can't recreate that success. He qualified and finished outside the points. He got points in Monaco, but it's Monaco where qualifying is all that matters. And we'll see. He hasn't been done as well on tracks where he can actually overtake. But I don't think it's like going to spell doom for him for the year. I think Red Bull's kind of sticking with their lineup. And finally, Dave, dead last, the Alpine report.
We scored a point.
They did score a point, but Colapinto is now 3 races done out of 5 for his contract without a single point to show for it, and honestly, not a lot of speed either. He's been the slowest basically every race weekend, and while he finished above both of the Haas cars, it was a horrible race for him. Gasly is proving that the car is capable of scoring points, as you said, he got points. And yeah, he is more experienced. But what's the point of kicking out doing Colapinto if Colapinto also can't score?
Money.
You're just it is. I mean, and that is the answer. It is money. It is the Argentinian sponsors, but it seems it's just a bad look for Alpine. And
I mean,
Colapinto could put this all to rest by scoring, which we know the car is capable of.
Colapinto has only had one thing newsworthy he's done in a race so far, and that was crashing
In qualifying.
He hasn't done anything at all.
I know, and he hasn't even been interacting with any MILFs on Twitter like he used to. So, like, what are we doing? At least do something.
He's currently a nobody, which, I mean, at least he's not crashing anymore.
That's true. Doohan did crash a few times.
And here's my hope. Here's my cope. Right?
Okay.
Beginning of the year, who was the best rookie driver?
Antonelli.
And then Behrman came out, and he was like, "Oh, it might be Behrman." And now the best rookie driver is Hadjar.
Now it's Hadjar.
So who's next? It's not Bortoletto. He's in a Sauber. It's gonna be.
I don't know. After this weekend, it might be.
It could be. There's been a lot of rookies that have come and gone and
also
good.
Lawson, does he count?
I mean, he just hasn't been good. But
That's true.
I guess
He's
he
been
could
horrible
have
too.
a resurgence.
And he at least has
Behrman
points.
And Antonelli, I think they fell off more because of their cars and their driving.
I would agree. with that mostly. Behrman, even though the car was decent in Monaco, didn't do very well. But I mean, in Spain, it was definitely the car.
He hasn't had many opportunities. He had an opportunity in Monaco, but other than that,
yeah. So
it's been tough.
We'll see. We'll see how Alpine does. They are an interesting team to watch, knowing all of the drama. But we have a certified Ferrari moment. You probably know what it is already. It is the Red Bull strategy team pitting Verstappen for hards on the safety car.
Then I don't think you mentioned this. When they told him to give up position, when the FIA came out with the penalty for him crashing, they said he was told to give a high position, and the FIA was not going to give a penalty.
Right. Well, yeah. It's if you give back the position, they gave him position for the collision, and they were going to give him a penalty for that no matter what. But it's if he let Russell go, no problem, then there wouldn't have been any penalty.
Yeah,
for their earlier tussle.
In the decision, they referenced the earlier incident and said they wouldn't have given a penalty.
Right. Yes.
Max was half right. Not that he should have crashed, but he shouldn't have gone in position because he wouldn't have gotten a penalty, and he could have held on for a little longer.
Yeah.
Their strategy was pretty bad.
Yeah, he saw it was red mist for Verstappen. He was so pissed off. Oh no! And finally, pick the podium. Don't call it a comeback. Andrew finally gets his first correct prediction of the year, and the rest of us fail to get even one between us. So congratulations to Andrew, even though he's not here. He's the only person who had anything right. And that is Spain. Any final thoughts on Barcelona as a race, not as a city? I don't care about the city.
I half love it, half hate it. I love that Alonso and Hülkenberg scored points, but I hate their teams. And I hate that they kicked Alpine to dead last by, in this section of the bottom tiers, a pretty wide margin. It's kind of hard to score 5 points.
Yeah.
So I wish it would have been me. I wish Gasly would have been the Hülkenberg. I wish things should have gone different.
Oh, well, who knows? Maybe everyone will crash into each other in Canada.
What can hope? I mean, that's what I predicted for Spain was that everyone crashed and Colapinto wins.
Unfortunately, not what happened. You also predicted it in Spanish, and your mic was breaking, so it was like impossible to hear. Oh no. So yes, that is Spain. Really quickly, on Monday they announced 2026's calendar. The biggest news is Imola is off the calendar, and Madrid, which is a street circuit called the Madrid Ring, which looks terrible, is replacing Imola. And it looks so stupid. In the promo video, they had a guy in a simulator drive the track, and he missed one of the turns. And they made that the official video. And they were like, that's the best take we got, was the one where he missed the turn. So what happened on the other takes? So it's going to be, I think it's going to be terrible. But.
No, that sounds sick. Imagine everyone getting lost on the F1 track.
Well, it's not like he missed it. Like he went left instead of right. He just didn't make the turn. He had to like cut the corner. And like he almost spun out. So
skill issue.
Everyone thought Vegas was going to suck, and it ends up being one of the most entertaining races of the year every year. So there is some hope, but not. I don't know. It looks bad. It looks stupid. The season starts in Australia again. There's only 2 triple headers: Austin, Mexico, Brazil, and then Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. These are the last 6 races of the year, and there'll be 1 week between them. Big news for me: Monaco has moved back 1 week, meaning my birthday weekend is freed from Monaco, and now I get Canada. I get an actual race. Unfortunately, Sam's birthday weekend now has Monaco. So, sorry. Andrew and Nate have no F1. They are born in earlier in the year before the season starts. And Dave, your birthday is 1 day after Singapore, so you get Singapore.
Go. That's a good one, right?
It is usually, yeah. It's usually
Let's
pretty
go.
entertaining.
Let's go.
A lot of drama happens there. So, I don't know if you had. I don't know if you get. I don't know what you get this year. Let me look it up really, really quickly. You get nothing. You're in between. Singapore is October 3rd through 5th, and then Austin is 17th through 19th. So you're closer to Austin, but not really.
I get a break.
You get the break, yes. You get the break. So maybe Cadillac will announce their driver lineup that week.
Maybe Alpine will announce their new driver lineup that weekend too.
They're like, we're racing 3 cars. I know we're not allowed to, but we're doing it.
We're in dead last. Who cares? It's just 21st place.
Exactly. All right. The Canada preview. We're here. Montreal. Last year, this race was a total disaster for everybody who went there. It rained all weekend. Mud, flooded all of the fan areas. There were too many people. Montreal Metro shut down. It was a disaster. So Montreal has said that they're going to do better this year. They've got more plans in place to deal with all the people. And my dad's coworker is going to be there, so that's fun. It is the home race of Lance Stroll, and he is racing. He's confirmed to be going. And qualifying is Saturday at 4 p.m. and race is Sunday at 2 p.m. This will be the first of few kind of later in the day at least on the East Coast races. You have Austin, you'll have Vegas, Brazil, and Mexico. At the end of the year will be the only other times they're kind of in the afternoon, and Vegas is in the evening. We talked about it before. Verstappen, 1 penalty point away from a full race ban. That won't change until after Austria, and his count will go from 11 to 9. I did write it 12 in the calendar year. This happened to Magnussen, causing him to miss Brazil, I think. I'm pretty sure it was Brazil, because that's when Ollie subbed in for him. But I can't remember if he subbed in for like Hulkenberg because he was sick or something, but I'm pretty sure it was the race ban. But like I said, just because he's 1 point away from a race ban doesn't mean he's going to take it easy. If anything, after the disaster of last race, he'll be back with a vengeance. And I, for one, hope that's the case. I hope we get a little Mad Max going. Meanwhile, Tsunoda is slowly making progress with the car, but if he wants to make a case for next year, which is a popular talking point right now, with some Cadillac and Alpine rumors, he'll need a leap in performance. Red Bull has stated multiple times that Tsunoda is going to stay for the rest of 2025. It's going to be a relief on Tsunoda in a team with a history of kicking their driver out mid-season. But even Helmut Marko, like the most racist man alive, who hates Yuki Tsunoda for no reason, is like, he's staying in the car. So that's a pretty solid indicator that he's staying in.
I think that's more racist. He wants to preserve Hadjar for next year. Doesn't want to ruin him. So he's just going to ruin Tsunoda all this year.
Fair enough. I have no idea what Helmut also hates Hadjar because he's Algerian. He's French Algerian. So
of course.
Yeah. He made fun of Hadjar for crying after he crashed in his first race in F1. So, whereas Lewis Hamilton's dad literally gave Hadjar a hug. So, Helmut Marko sucks, and we can end it there and move on. The McLaren title fight continues. after the technical directives didn't really hurt them at all. F1 Media and Zach Brown are still talking about this proverbial crash between Piastri and Norris. But personally, and I said this earlier, I don't think either of them have that dog in them to go for a potential race-ending move. I just don't think they got it in them. I think they'll back out of it in the event that it has the potential. They also don't really race each other. They're close in qualifying. They're racing against each other in qualifying in terms of setting times, but they haven't really raced each other all year, except for a brief moment in China. And McLaren either tells Piastri to not fight Norris and hold position, or Piastri's too far ahead where it doesn't matter. So I don't think we're going to be getting any Mercedes moments, and this year's races may be doomed to be decided on Saturday. Race starts are always anything can happen. Usually, I think all but one race, the person who started on pole won. So, and that one person was Oscar Piastri. So we'll see. But I don't think. The more I think about it, the more I think about their racing styles, I just don't think they're gonna crash into each other. I mean, I'd be more than happy to be proved wrong. But I just don't think it's gonna happen. They don't hate each other like Mercedes did. It took Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton literally years. Rosberg retired after 2016, and he didn't mend his relationship with Lewis till like 2023. It took him like 7 years for them to like not even be friends, just to, make amends. So, I mean, they hated each other. But Piastri and Norris, at least as far as I know, they don't have that.
If they get into beef, that'll be so good for the news cycle. I can finally stop drawing pictures of Max Verstappen.
I'll start thinking of ideas. I'll start thinking of ideas for you. Some non-Red Bull adjacent ideas.
He's just always the center of the F1 attention.
Well, for Monza, it is the home base of Ferrari. So you can, unless something crazy happens the race before that you have to draw, you can do a bunch of Ferrari fans crying.
I can do Hamilton crying. He cries like every race.
They all cry every race
about how bad the car is.
There's that one meme where it's like, I've never seen someone sad in a Ferrari. And it's like, you clearly don't watch F1. So
if Piastri and Norris, that's like a good 5 weeks of just beef pictures. Just hopefully. 2 beefy boys.
Neither of them are beefy. No one in F1 is beefy. Oh man, it'd be too heavy for the car.
Not allowed to lift.
Exactly. Well, yeah, you can't bulk. You're not allowed to bulk. Except for their necks. Have you seen their necks compared to like an average person? It's crazy.
Only neck exercises, only grip exercises.
Exactly.
You can only get hand muscles and neck muscles.
And reaction speed.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's the McLaren. That's my opinion. Mercedes, after a very rough European triple header, especially for Antonelli, coming into Canada ready to regain their footing, especially because the team has done really well here in the past. The track layout and the generally cooler temperatures have always really benefited them. Albeit this year, they seem to handle hotter temps better than colder temps, but I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to be good. They do well in Canada. I imagine they're going to continue that trend. Forecast as of this morning for the weekend is a high of 71 with no rain during the weekend. It was raining there earlier this week, but it probably won't be raining during the race. Russell and Antonelli will hopefully be able to show some more speed that challenge the podium, if not potentially a race win, if Merck's recent Montreal performances can be counted on. I think a podium challenge is likely. I think a win, maybe not so much, unless McLaren messes it up and Verstappen, is not in the picture. Williams, in a similar bounce back scenario to Mercedes after a horrible time in Spain. Like I said, the technical directives really hit them hard. And their strong start to the season could be over. But we'll see how they handle the next few races to determine if we need to hold a funeral for the team. Oh, I have the hiccups, excuse me. And then funny story, I drafted this up on Monday. And I completely forgot about Ferrari. I wrote this whole damn thing. And I was like, I'm done. I did it. And like 3 hours later, I saw a story about Lewis Hamilton. I was like, oh shit, I didn't write a single thing about Ferrari for Canada. So I had to come back in and write about them. How much hopium can one team have? Sure, Leclerc gets the lucky podium here and there. One of them was off of Verstappen penalty, and the other one was Red Bull screwing Verstappen. But Hamilton seems completely out of it. He seems super dejected. He's having a horrible time in the car. He's really sad all the time. Um, and their team is not. The car just isn't there. The generational team up of Leclerc and Hamilton has brought the team 2 podiums and a sprint win and a whole bunch of disappointment. But at least the team radios are entertaining, and at least they give us something to laugh about. And with all this, you think maybe they just give it up, just focus on 2026. That's what Lewis is really here for anyway. But I'm sure that they will be the last team to fully focus on 2026 because that's just how they operate. That's just the Ferrari way, is to make the worst decision.
I think they just have their sights set too high. Like they're in second in the constructors. I think Hamilton just needs to accept mediocrity like the rest of us. He's been on top for too long. He's getting like 6th place.
I think the problem is that they were winning races at the end of last year.
Yeah, and now the Papayas are too fast and Max is too good, and they don't want to just.
And Merck made a jump.
Yeah, they did.
So
they
but
don't want to
even
for where they are.
Yeah, even then they're winning races, and that's a hard shift, especially with Hamilton. Like, first year of the team, let's win. Oh, this is what Ferrari's like, Lewis. Sorry.
Yep, time to be mediocre. Let's, be happier.
Yes. And so yes, that's Ferrari, who I completely forgot about. Sorry. Hadjar, as I said earlier, in my opinion, is the most impressive rookie on the grid, just above Antonelli. He's put in insane performances. He's the only rookie to make it to every Q3. And while the car's pace falls off during the race and V-carb strategy is always looming, he's always getting in the points, I think. He's always like a solid lock. Like, if we're like, you have to pick the top 10, or at least like pick the podium and then predict who else is going to be in the points, I think Hadjar's got to be in there every time. He's got really solid race pace, and like we mentioned, Red Bull probably is not going to promote him, so he'll have more time to develop, which is good for everyone involved. It's good for him, it's good for the team, it's good all around, good for the fans. But Lawson, on the other hand, has 1 point finished to his name from Monaco, and he really needs to find more pace, especially with Williams potentially falling off. That's huge for VCarb, who are in the bottom half of the pack here. And 2 points behind them are Haas, who was the slowest in the pack again, continuing their wildly inconsistent form. Behrman and Ocon have pace in them. We know they can drive fast. We know they can get points. But if Haas can't deliver the car, then what's the point? So it's really up to, the team, high highs and low lows has been their year, and they're going to want that more consistency, especially because we know Behrman and Ocon have the potential in them. It's just, can Haas deliver? And in the European triple header, the answer to that question was no. Haas can't deliver. So they're going to want to change that. Especially Canada, it's kind of home field. It's close enough. They're closer to their headquarters at least. So we will. It's hard to judge, because are they going to put in like a crazy performance, or are they going to suck? You can never know until you're actually until the weekend starts. And like we mentioned, Sauber and Aston are now tied on points after Hulk's incredible P5 and Alonso's first points of the season. Not the midfield battle anyone expected, I don't think, was between Sauber and Aston. But I think Aston has a better chance to snag 8th and maybe even 7th from Haas, if their form continues to spiral, if Haas's form. But Sauber has been surprising everyone. They've got random moments of real greatness. And maybe the Audi takeover next year will be what they need to get back in the points much more consistently. But for now, I think if you're expecting Aston, Sauber, Haas at the back, Alpine, you're probably in your right to do that. And finally, Alpine, dead last in the scoring. Gasly finishing the points. Colapinto is yet to score, as I always like to mention. He now has 2 races left on his contract. And this is coinciding with some interesting Bottas and Perez to Alpine rumors. Apparently, they are both talking to Alpine for a seat in 2026. Again, now that's 2026, but would anyone really be surprised if Briatore was like, all right, Colapinto, get the hell out of here. We're bringing in Bottas, we're bringing in Perez? No one would be surprised about that. Bottas and Perez are also rumored to go with Cadillac, along with Zhou Guanyu and Mick Schumacher, and maybe Colton Herta, but not really Colton Herta. So I think it's more that Bottas and Perez are kind of weighing their options for next year, and they have the time to do that because they're not racing. But that is the biggest news story about Alpine was the Bottas and the Perez rumors.
Biggest story about Alpine, nothing about racing, all about getting a new driver after they just got a new driver.
Yes.
What
Welcome.
a competent and good, well-run team.
Well, here's what's going to happen with Alpine. Pierre will probably finish in the points and Colapinto won't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's probably Pierre will finish somewhere near the points.
Yes, whether it's in it or close to it, yeah. Points or points adjacent.
Now, here's a question, because which rookie is in the best situation?
Kimi, easily.
But his car has not worked in 3 races.
Yes, but thinking ahead to next year with new regs that are rumored to benefit Mercedes, and you also have a team principal that is so committed to you that he's going out of his way to sign you young, get you in the team while you're young so you can develop in a front level team. He is so committed. He's saying that you're the next Max Verstappen. I think Kimmy's got and Merc can get it together too. They have the resources to get it back together. There's all this talk of if Max Verstappen decides to jump ship and go to Mercedes, who does Toto replace? And everyone agrees it's Russell. Everyone immediately agrees it's Russell if Toto had to make the decision because of how much he's already committed to Kimi. So I think he's in the best situation. Second best, I would say, would probably be Behrman over Hadjar just because of Red Bull's volatility. And I know Haas sucks, but Behrman is when Lewis retires, Behrman's going into the Ferrari. So when Lewis retires, Behrman's going to Ferrari. That's basically confirmed. He's a Ferrari driver, in their driver program. He's just in Haas because Haas buys their engine for Ferrari, and Ferrari kind of uses them as a dev team as part of that agreement. Then I would go Hadjar because he's driven really well, but moving to Red Bull kind of seems like a downgrade sometimes compared to the V carb. And then it would be Bortoleto, and then
Everyone else is just
doing Colapinto, Lawson. Everyone else sucks. Yeah. So that would be my ranking.
I think Bortoleto is in a sneaky good position because he's just pure development right now. Absolutely no
expectations. Yeah.
At all.
True.
But he is in Kick Sauber, so that's not the best.
Maybe Audi will come in and change things. I doubt it, but
the Kimi and Behrman and Hadjar all have kind of expectations. Especially poor Behrman was doing really well, and then the car sucks now. So everyone's like, "Oh, he's bad now." But Bortoleto, he's just been bad the whole time. So no one's like, "Oh, he's a bad driver." Like, yeah, the car sucks. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. All right. Before we do the podium, one quick admin question I wanted to ask. For races that aren't back to back, what do we think about maybe doing the race review the week after the race, and then the race preview the Wednesday before?
Please. I forget so much.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea. I literally asked Nat, I was like, what was the last race anyways? And I thought it was Imola. I couldn't even remember properly. She had to be
crazy.
no, Imola came before Monaco, and then Monaco was before last race.
All right. We'll do that. And then
please.
Okay. We'll do that. And either I'll combine both streams into one big upload on YouTube, or we'll do 2 different uploads. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll do week 11.5, week 11 and week 11.5. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as it goes along. Honestly, if it's 2 videos, it's mainly up to Dave, depending on how much he wants to draw. So
let me see how much I got in my bag. Making these thumbnails.
So if you if you don't want to, what we can just do, we'll combine the uploads. We'll figure that out later. All right, we'll try that. So there's a gap, so we'll try that next week. We'll be here next week for just the Canada review, and then the week after we'll do the Austria preview. So they should be shorter then. They shouldn't be these long rambling. Well, I don't know. Maybe they still will be, but who knows? So that's how we'll do it. I'll make them into separate pages then on the doc. And we'll figure it out. So yes, so that'll be the plan, and I'll let Sam know when I talk to him. And finally, pick the podium. We're here. I will go first, as is the new rules. Hold on, I don't remember what I wanted. I texted it and then I forgot it. I think I am going to go Piastri, Norris, and then Russell. That is my podium. It pains me not to put Verstappen on there. It pains me not to put Verstappen on there. But that is I think I'm confident in Mercedes.
Darn Max.
Nate, did you have the exact same one?
Yeah, just like flipped, of course. You know where the flip is.
Norris. What happened to Norris, Piastri, Leclerc? You were going to do every week. What happened to about to see the most consistent picks of Norris, Piastri, Leclerc? Signed Nate.
Because I looked at last Canada GP results, and Ferrari had the double DNF. And I was like, man, I don't know if I would have bet on them making that much progress after watching them hamstring themselves. But then, yeah, you're right. If I don't pick it, then I'm gonna end up being upset when I do see Leclerc somehow pull another stupid podium. What's the weather supposed to be like? Did we
71
get a
degrees
report?
and sunny. 71 and
71 and sunny.
Oh, okay. It was a clear. Okay, right. It was the double DNF. China was their first double disqualification in team history. That's where I was getting. I was very confused at first. I was like, wait, what? Yes. Okay.
Well, no matter what, yeah, I do want Norris in 1 and Piastri in 2. Yeah, it's just like
You have to decide.
because I do have to decide what happened with that double DNF. I can't even remember what specifically.
Signs got into a collision, and I don't remember. I literally just had it up.
Yeah, like what happened with what happened with Charles?
Hold on, I'm reading the Wikipedia article. On lap 8, blah 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 blah.
Like, was it a
Carl? Okay. On the restart, Verstappen kept the lead ahead of Russell. Albon overtook Ricciardo and Ocon in the final corner, but then Albon encountered Sainz, who's spinning on his way to turn 7, failed to avoid the Ferrari, and he and Sainz were both forced to retire. So Sainz spun out on a rainy safety car restart, and Albon hit him. He couldn't avoid him. This was Ferrari's first retirement of the season. What happened to Leclerc? Leclerc just went out with engine troubles, I think.
Yeah,
Charles Leclerc, engine.
Okay.
Yeah, just says engine. It says Logan Sargent, accident. Charles Leclerc, engine. Sergio Perez, accident. Albon, collision. Sainz, collision.
Okay. I mean, they haven't had any power unit issues or engine issues this year so far with Ferrari, correct? Right? Like, I have that right?
They had a double disqualification for an underweight car.
For an underweight car, but that wasn't like
and skid wear.
Okay, but it wasn't a failure.
Nothing that I'm remembering.
Yeah, like not like a functional issue. Okay. You know what? I'd rather live and die by my proclamation of Leclerc third.
All right.
The more I'm thinking about it, because like I wanted to initially put Russell there. I was thinking like, yeah, I'll put George there, but like, I'd rather bet on Leclerc.
All right, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc. Sam has Piastri, Antonelli, Hamilton. I think Sam is forgetting that Hamilton isn't in. I think Sam still thinks Hamilton's on Mercedes sometimes. But he also did make his prediction without reading the doc. So
how am I losing to Sam? Don't answer that.
Okay, let's read off your predictions. Week 1 Australia, Gasly, Leclerc, Behrman. Week 2 China, Lawson, Doohan, Hadjar. Let's probably go to the most absurd of these, being in Saudi Arabia, Alonso Stroll Hulkenberg.
Well, let's see what I have this week, but Andrew can go first.
All right, Andrew, what do you got for us?
Give me Piastri 1, Norris 2, and I'll take Max in 3. I think he comes back with a vengeance.
All right, all right. I think if this trend continues, currently Norris has the second most first place predictions. I think if this trend continues, Piastri will probably overtake him by the end of the year. And then Verstappen still has the most second place and first place predictions if you include last year. And Leclerc has the most third, and third place is our most variant. We never know as a group who to put in third place. All right, Dave, hit me with it.
So in third, he had a lot of issues last race. I think it was mostly bad luck, so I think he's gonna bounce back. I'm putting Albon in third.
Okay.
And I think this guy he's going to improve over his last race, which only means podium. So I'm gonna go Nico Hulkenberg second.
Okay, well he could improve to fourth place.
Shut up.
He's never gotten a podium in his whole life. He's got the most races without a podium.
Well, until this week.
Right, until this week, of course.
And then first, can you guess, Max?
Colapinto?
No. He's out. It's the man with new wrists.
Oh, Lance Stroll, of course, the hometown hero. How could I possibly forget?
He has new hands. He's been driving without wrists for 9 weeks. So he's got his new wrists. So therefore he must win.
They put him in
even know if Stroll's racing?
Yes, he is confirmed.
Okay.
And it's really funny if it flares up and he can't race because his Aston Martin's 2 reserve drivers are competing in Le Mans. So they won't be there at the race.
So that means that Alonso will score again if Stroll has to back out.
Potentially. All right. So next week we'll be back with just the Canada review. We're gonna give it a shot, see how it works out. And we'll see who's right, who's wrong. Will Max Verstappen get a race ban? Probably not. But until then, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for indulging me again, and I will have a good night.